Hello everyone, welcome back. So this video is the extension of the previous work that we have done as part of securing our APIs through AWS Cognito. So till our last point, let me quickly go one step back. We see how someone can call the secure API from the Postman and as well as from the VSCode. There are multiple ways so they can consume. We can secure our API, and then that API, once it has been secured in the API gateway, then that API can be accessible through the JWT token if someone has the valid client ID and client secret. Now, so that's where we have some end user who needs to, or another developer in the team who is working on the different part of the application, and he or she needs to access the API. So in the last video we see how they can access it. But now in this architecture, what we're gonna do, we're gonna replace it. If we really want to automate end to end, like we don't want the end user to use it, instead we have another Lambda function. They want to call this Lambda function through API gateway, and that Lambda function needs to extract the AWS Cognito token and then pass the token alongside with the API call. So the big difference, the environment is going to be changed. So if I come in here, so now that there was the difference. So you can see in the architecture, the end user will replace with AWS Lambda. So that's the architecture we are now going to implement. One more thing on the architecture, you can see before every code, I'm building the diagram so you can easily understand how the information flow. And that's the whole concept of designing the architecture before someone jump in and start coding. Because I know there's always a debate between devs and architects that why we need the diagrams to be finished before they can start the work. And sometimes they are correct, because the things identified during the dev phase, which unfortunately didn't appear at the time of analysis or the architecture phase. But tell you the truth, we still have the significance of the architecture or designing the architecture due to many reasons, which is not linked to the development part. And I'm going to discuss on that topic in the future video, why we need the architecture. And I'm a big vocal of designing the architecture before we can start the dev. Now, do we really need to finalize the end-to-end architecture? That question is debatable, and we can take the middle approach where we can build the initial architecture that mainly address the business requirement, and then we can start or initiate the dev instead of waiting for the perfection or 100% and then sign off from everyone. At least we can start from I would say from the initial point, and then over the time, once we move into the development phase, if new things unfold, we can update our architecture. So it's a balanced approach. And generally, I'm going to tell you what that approach called in the architect space. And that's a very handful or useful approach to address these kind of solution where the client is unclear about the requirement and we don't have much available from the business side as part of the requirement. So how we gonna build things to address those challenges? That there's an approach, and we will see how we can tackle that. But in this video, we focus back on our solution that we are building. So now you can see we have two Lambda function. One Lambda function we have already built. We have our API gateway available, and we have our AWS Cognito. Now let's jump back into our cloud environment. Yeah, I typed the right password. So I'm in my cloud environment and I have the calculation function, which is behind my API gateway. Now I'm going to create another function, which I'm going to call it secure caller, right? Because that's a secure caller Lambda function. So, and I'm creating from the scratch. Runtime is going to be, let me choose Python 3.11. And I think the rest is all good. Let me just hit create. I'm just keeping the default setting. So now it is creating my function, and I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, my function is in here, and you can see secure caller underscore lambda underscore function is the name, and by default it give us nothing but just a lambda handler event, which actually record the caller information, or some information from the calling environment, and then execute lambda handler as a starting point of the function. Just to test it, let me just hit test event private. I'm not going to change anything. Hit save, and as usual we're gonna see we have, oh, that's the ones I need to hit again. So you can see hello from the Lambda function. Now, so there are two ways that we can build that function. We can build directly in the Lambda function, or we can build in the code, VS Code, and bring it back into our Lambda function. And why I'm saying it, I'm going to actually discuss first one of the biggest challenge with the Lambda function, that it has limited libraries from Python, which are available as part of the Lambda function. And if you need additional libraries, you need to bring them across in the Lambda function. And there is a process. And in this episode, we're going to see how we can bring those additional libraries to get our Lambda function working. So if I jump back into my original function, let me see if I can open it in here. So if you remember, I need the request. So that's my major library import that I need from Python environment. And guess what? If I try to import it in here, so let me quickly show you. Changes are not deployed. Let me hit deployed, and let me test it. Oops, I have, so it's complaining the status execution is failed because I don't have any package available as a request. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring the request across, then we'll start building the rest of the Lambda function. So the best way, I would say, if you're on Linux or if you're using Visual Code, let's close that. If you're on VS Code, VS Code has the AWS extension toolkit, which really give you the all functionalities that you can use to work with the AWS services. Great extension. I'm using that in this video. If you don't know how to install or configure it, please put your comments. I'm happy to record a video on that. But it's pretty straightforward. We just need to go to extension. Let me quickly jump into extension, search the AWS, and you're going to see the AWS toolkit. And once you select it, it's going to actually show you the option to install. Hit install, and then it will automatically identify the AWS profile on your system if you have AWS CLI installed. If not, it's going to ask you to install the AWS CLI. And if you remember, I initially recorded a couple of videos to show how you can install the AWS on your machine, or configure the AWS CLI on your machine. Behind the scene, it used that AWS CLI, which is obviously your key and a secret that has been used to legitimate the request, which is initiated from your machine, right? So that's a quick discussion. If you don't know, I'll put the link in the video description. Feel free to watch that and configure your environment accordingly. So once it has been installed, you're going to see a new tab on your VS Code, which is AWS. Click on that. And if it has been successfully connected, you're going to see all the information from your AWS environment in here. So let me just go, and I can already see. So I only have one function. Let me Let's refresh. I should have to. So now you can see the second function is appearing. Initially, that function was not appearing, but now at least I can see the second function. What I'm going to do, I'm going to download that function because I will work on that function. So the good thing, you can download your Lambda function in your local environment, work on them, and then upload back into the AWS environment. So let's download it. So where I'm going to download, let me select a different folder. So what I'll do, I'm just going into Lambda and I'll use that location. All right, so all good. You can see exactly the same function has been coming in here. And if I come in here and show you, yeah, so it's in here. It has been downloaded into secure Lambda caller directory, and you can see I already have a couple of other functions. What I'm gonna do, just to avoid any confusion, let me just take them out. Let me just take them out from here, and what I can do, 5, let me put them in here so it won't confuse. So now we have our folder as safe and secure. We can see in here. Oh, I think something is not secure Lambda caller, right? Oh, sorry, secure caller Lambda function. So let me quickly go back. Let me just close that. For somehow that means I did not open that correctly. Let me come back and let me open my folder where my function has been. Sorry, I did the opposite. Apologies. I did the opposite. Instead of moving the old function into archive, I moved the actual function, which is fine. What I can do, let me just quickly remove all that because it's just gonna uh, create the confusion for us. So we can cancel it. Bear with me. I'm just trying to fix everything and we'll re-download. So let me just take them out. Let me just move that. That was my, by the way, that was my old work. So I don't want you guys to confuse. So we have a clean Lambda function environment. So let me go and let me re-download it. So where is my Lambda? Lambda, come back. I just need to right click, download. It's gonna ask me where should I download. Let me select my folder, pretty easy. I'm going to recently, yeah, in the Lambda function and use that to. Okay, now the Lambda function has been downloaded one more time. Let me show it to you so you can see directory has been created and it has the Python file, which actually the code that has been used as part of the Lambda function. Pretty clean and pretty straightforward. Now, the biggest challenge, how I'm going to bring that import import request package as part of my Lambda function. So I'm going to follow a couple of steps and you can follow along. I don't need Copilot. Let me come in here. All right. So we can prepare our folder. So let me quickly show you. We have the Lambda folder in here. Let me just clear. Let me list down. Yeah, I have one folder above than Lambda. So let me quickly go in my Lambda function. Just want to show you. So that's the folder that once I downloaded the Lambda function, the AWS has created on my machine, which is good. So what I'll do, I'll just go inside. And as a first step, let me see. So I only have one file, right? So what I'll do, I'll create a file called requirement.txt. right? So let me quickly check the spell. I believe I put the right spell. Yeah, requirements. So I have some time, just right. And I'm going to call what I need to bring request. Just paste it in here. Right, so I don't want to take any risks of misspell. Yeah, I want to modify. So that's the first step. We need to create the requirements.txt into the folder, and then the next step. So once our file is there, let me quickly verify. Yeah, we have two files. Just come one step back. Let me go back to the history. And then what we're going to do, we're going to install this package through the pip package, which is available as part of the Python, into my folder or into my Lambda folder that has been created on my machine. So what I'll do, so the command is pretty simple. Pip3 install, and where I'm going to get the list of the package, it's just sitting into my secure Lambda requirement. That's why we have created the requirement.txt, because that's going to list down all the packages that has been required. And what would be the target where we're going to place all the packages of those Python, which will be downloaded as part of the installation. So the target, and you can guess it, is not going to be difficult. The folder that AWS has created on our machine, that folder contain all the raw packages for us, and once we deploy it back, it will use those packages to deploy our Lambda function or overwrite our Lambda function within the AWS environment. So let's hit that and let's see what's gonna do. Secure Lambda function. All right, where I am. Hmm. Sorry, I think I missed one parameter. That's my bad. So we need to provide the switch, which is minus R, as part of the requirement file. So that's what I missed. So now it should be all right. Yeah. So all good. And let me quickly clear my screen. And let me just quickly go inside my folder. And you can see there are a bunch of new libraries has been created as part of that command. I'm going to put that command in the description. Don't worry about that. And now let me quickly come back into the environment, and you can see the Lambda function, which was alone in here. Now it has company from all these additional packages which has been required to use the request library from Python. So that part is done. Now the only challenge which we are facing, it is on our local machine, and we're going to push it back into our Lambda environment. So what we'll do, it's pretty easy. Because we have received that function from the AWS. So we'll come back on the same point where we have that function. And we know we downloaded the secure caller Lambda function. So we click on it, right click. So instead of download, we'll just upload the Lambda function. And as soon as we upload that, it's going to ask us whether we are going to create a zip archive or we can do a directory. So let's do the zip first, because I want to do that zip part just to show you how we can do the zip part. Yeah, we need to get back one level. And what we'll do, so we have that Lambda secure function now. We have a command. Let me quickly grab that command, how we can, oh, even I can do it from the history because I've already have done it. So I'm going to now zip because I'm going to convert my directory into a zip archive because I'll upload the zip file just to show you one method. And in the later stage, we'll use the directory method as well. Let me just change the directory because it's not the secure Lambda caller. The name is different. Secure Lambda caller, and I'm creating the zip file into my Lambda folder where I'm currently exist. Yeah, all good. So if I come back in here just to show you. Let me see, secure. That's my, okay, what I'll do, just see if I can do it manually in here. Yeah, compress, zip. Let's do it manually for a time being. Yeah, we have the zip function. I'll see, I'll find out why it's not working at that time. So you can see we have now this folder that has all the libraries we have converted into a zip. And now I'm going to hit zip. Yeah. And show me, I want to go to the folder, not from the recent workspace. I have the cloud workspace, AWS, serverless, Lambda, and that's the zip file. Yeah, I want to publish, and now you can see the zip file that we have created. It is now uploading into my actual Lambda function within the AWS environment. So the uploading is done. Let's see, and I haven't seen any failure message, so hopefully things looks good. Let me come back in here, and we can go one level back, and then we can hit it again, the function name, to see if we are able to see all the changes. And now we can see the message, your code has been updated while you are were making changes. So click OK. And now you can see we have all these libraries which are available. And if I now click open, you can see there is no code inside. But what we did, we bring all the additional libraries which are required to use the import to import the request package. One more thing I'm just gonna do just to show you, because I have now this is available in here. I need to bring another. For that, we don't need, because we only need the request package. So now I can safely use the HTTP basic auth from the import. So let's go and deploy. And if you remember previously, it gave us the error. Now, if everything works well, we are able to, okay, see where it is complaining. Unable to import module Lambda function, no module. All right. I think I know the issue. I think they due to the uh, folder structure, or we have multiple levels, so it's unable to identify the where is the folder. So what I'm going to do, I'll just show you. So that's good. We have this error. Let me show you how we can fix it. The error is very dodgy, like you don't understand why we are getting this error, but I'll show you how we can fix it. So you can see we have secure caller Lambda function, and within that function we do have, let me see, it's not coming as a, theoretically, it shouldn't give us this problem. What's giving me? Okay, so Okay, for somehow instead of creating the all the files, so let me explain what it is facing at the moment. Instead of creating all the files direct underneath the Lambda function directory, it created an additional folder called secure caller Lambda function, and that's the problem. That's why it's unable to find the calling environment, and that's where. So what I'll do, let me see if I can fix it, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, guys, I'm back. So all I did, so if you remember in the before that we have the one level down. So all I did actually relocate the files to the right directory or the right directory structure. And now you can see we are able to run the Lambda function without any issue. And you can see we have the import request. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can bring it back. So it's all deployed. Let's hit again. Yeah, we can see it. So let me explain the last glitch that we have faced, because once I was zipping the folders folder, and I uploaded, instead of putting the file directly under my folder directory, it created a subdirectory and put everything within that subdirectory. Now the environment is not configured for the subfolder at this stage, so that's why it was trying to find out the Lambda function in the root folder, which is unable to find. That's why it was giving us the error. There was no issue in the whole process, except we have introduced an additional level or subdirectory while we are uploading it, right? So I just removed that additional folder, and now everything is working. So that's how you can upload or bring any additional Python package in your Lambda environment if it is not available. Now that's something which was the main challenge to configure our Lambda function to call the API. Now because we have these two packages, now we have import package available in the Lambda environment. The rest of the steps gonna be pretty easy, and I'll show you in the next video. Feel free to put any comment or any question if you have. I believe you like it, and I'll see you in the next one. So stay tuned.